So, welcome to A Practical Perspective, and I'm doing my best to put together the assets that would be supporting this series of podcasts. The motivation that I have for this is to share experiences that I consider to be relevant and non trivial, but it remains for you to appreciate that. Um, and I'm sharing them through an engineering perspective, which, again, in my opinion, will make them more relevant for some of the audience. So you're welcome to comment and ask for details in areas that might be with less clarity than desired. Um, I am Bogdan, an engineer by profession, former refugee, and a individual that's passionate for understanding minds and motivations that drive our behavior. Um, I have been blessed with two near death experiences that have also given me a different perspective to life and living, to purpose for life in general, and purpose for going through life for each of us. Thank you. So, the first issue is what is purpose in life, or what gives sense to life? And I sketched it earlier, but we'll do this together um, for better understanding. So, based on 15 years of research and the years of experience, purpose in life can be reduced to uh, two main activities. One is to mine for verified survival knowledge, and the other one is to share the knowledge. So everything we're doing, even when we're thinking that we're actually not caring about the rest, and that all that we're focused on is ourselves, is this two activities. Find what works from your own perspective, and the moment you find and apply, execute, do what you discovered that it works, you're actually transferring forward, you're sharing that knowledge to future generations, or to the um, transcending life in general. So the overall arrow is forward in time. So we're going to speak many times, we're going to use the concept of knowledge. And we better spend some time to see what does knowledge mean, what is the information that this concept provides. So what do we mean by knowledge? Um, of course, English is a second language for me, and I am very careful to actually define all the concepts that I am expressing to make sure that we build a context that it's overlapping, it's not totally disjunct. So the simplest definition for knowledge that I found is knowledge is actually actionable information. So this two components define what information we consider as being knowledge. So the moment you have, let's say, a script on how to actually cook, so a recipe or a methodology of how to achieve a certain um, outcome of a given level of complexity. And so we're actually building knowledge. So the whole procedure of actually grabbing the pen and fixing it in such a way that I can use it for drawing is actually knowledge, and it's instantiated knowledge. Yeah. So any action or enterprise is actually instantiated instantiated knowledge. Yeah, instantiated knowledge is that there is an agent, there is an entity able to understand the knowledge, able to handle the knowledge that actually executes the knowledge. So it's guided by the information that forms that knowledge and does something. Does something, it means it modifies the context the entity is part of. So with this um, uh, things in mind, um, the uh, so let's deal now with the notion of enterprise. As an engineer, a couple of years back, I've encountered the methodology called enterprise architecture. It's a methodology for creating models that would guide design and execution and testing and then operations of initially it was IT assets, but the um, element that impressed me with that technology were the fact that it was the first time the IT enterprise as in action to achieve something instead of focusing only on technical assets like computers and software and people and that are responsible for making those things work. It mentioned business motivations. And this is the sign of a mature industry, which is specifically the IT industry that we're talking about. So Zachman came with a framework, and then all kind of other organizations identified initially just instinctively, but then within the cognitive ability, so with causation and serious support, this value that awareness on business motivations brings to the success of an enterprise. And of course, once you're talking about business motivations, then the whole exercise moves from an IT enterprise to a business enterprise. And at least in my opinion, but also spreading more and more and more, primacy moved from material assets and technical assets and so to motivations. So you have motivations, and then you have let's call them resources. And we got here a very nice heart sign, which is always um, good to notice and gives me comfort, emotional comfort. So, business enterprise became decomposed in identifying motivations and then putting together all the resources that would create actions that respond to those motivations. Um, and pretty much this is the footprint that the methodology of enterprise architecture developed within the IT became relevant in challenges that I was facing with my teams in healthcare and in wellness endeavors, building tools and deploying and operating and then monitoring and absorbing the lessons from the actual users, the individuals that benefit of those actions. Um, this ontology, this decomposition in motivations and resources and the primacy. This doesn't work as I thought it would work. Um, uh, this primacy of the motivation um, uh, has made me modify the meaning of the concept of architecture. So from here, architecture became the activity of building a model for motivations. So from the concept that architecture reflects the activity of defining everything, defining let's say in the IT world, what kind of language are you going to use, what kind of functional blocks, how do you implement those blocks, where do you store the data, and all kind of crap of this type. Um, uh, the architecture shrank to the effort of understanding the stakeholders, understanding the users or whoever the um, um, entities might be that benefit of the enterprise that you're trying to govern. And the actual activity that used to be considered architecture also has moved into design. So and that makes any activity divided into architecture and then design and then implementation and then of course testing and then deploying and then operating. And of course, when you operate, you learn stuff. So learn and refactor. So this is it. That's the story of enterprise architecture and how are we defining the architecture as the activity of building a model for motivations and how architecture drives everything else in a coherent way, providing effectiveness. That is efficiency in reaching your goal. Ta-da! So that's this part of our chat today. And now we're gonna take a week's break with this last message. So enterprise architecture, it's the architecture of your actions in whatever domain, from sneezing to changing the world. And we've seen that the architecture actually represents a model of your motivations or the stakeholders' motivations. And knowing the motivations would direct your actions towards responding to them. So the more authentic you are, the more um, truth sits behind your motivations and the more satisfactions you gain when you reach them. Also, what you gain is serenity in knowing why you achieved them or why you didn't achieve them. And that's the ultimate form of freedom. So, saying a warm goodbye. So, this is some kind of a hand waving goodbye and see you in a week.